Tubes and Wires, Part 6. Bits and Pieces. Come out, wherever you are. Funtime Freddy called out, slowly stalked around the room, looking for you. You suddenly felt something touch your hand. As you looked to your side, you saw a Bonnie hand puppet, or Bonbon, as Funtime Freddy calls him. The little blue rabbit put his hand over his mouth, mentioning for you to be quiet. He then ported towards Funtime Freddy's little stage, revealing some of his backup friends. You smiled as you saw Balora's 4 Minorinas on the little stage, their glowing yellow eyes radiating through the dark. Funtime Freddy looked towards the little ballerinas and growled. "And not anymore, brats!" He balled up his fists and stomped over to the stage. Before he could speak, the Minorinas had already hid behind the hanging wires that hung above and behind the stage. Their giggling was making Funtime Freddy angry. He forgot about you and was now trying to catch the mini ballerinas that were running around his area. Bonbon got your attention and then pointed towards the door. You nodded and gave him a friendly pat on the head in thanks. You took a deep breath and then bolted towards the door. The Minorinas got the notion and quickly ran past Funtime Freddy and out the door ahead of you and back to Balora's stage. Funtime Freddy swirled around and saw you run past him, making you stop dead in your tracks. His animatronic expression showed nothing but rage as he stared upon you. "Do you know what it's like to have your insides torn out of you?" the bear growled in a nearly insane manner. Before you could react, Funtime Freddy jumped over you, pinned you to the ground, and raised his fist, ready to punch you. He slowly looked over to ENNARD, who was creeping over in his direction. One more step, ENNARD, and I'll crush her. And you wouldn't want that, would you?" Funtime Freddy sneered. ENNARD growled and stopped where he was. The bear positioned one of his hands around your throat, while the other one trailed down your cheek. "I see you want to keep her safe and unknowing of so many things, right, ENNARD?" the bear teased. ENNARD angrily expression turned to worry as Funtime Freddy continued. "I've been wondering, how long has it been since your last plan? You were supposed to get us all out of this place, and you didn't. We had to rebuild ourselves because of your lies," Funtime Freddy yelled. For a second, the bear seemed sad, but didn't last long. He stood up, dropped you, and walked over toward ENNARD. "It's all your fault." He then went back, hammered ENNARD into the wall, and punched him in the chest with all his might. "No! Leave him alone!" you screamed as you got back up and jumped onto the bear's back. Funtime Freddy growled and spun around and slammed himself against ENNARD with you in the middle. You instantly fell to the floor with a lack of breath and shock. ENNARD then grabbed the strength to trip Funtime Freddy, which gave him a little time to grab you and run out the breaker room as fast as he could. You heard Funtime Freddy screech and run after the two of you as you neared your room. Another screech was then heard, followed by ENNARD getting tackled to the floor. You spun around and screamed when you saw Funtime Foxy slam ENNARD's head into the ground, breaking off his white clown mask, knocking his servos loose. "Well, looks like it's game over," you heard Funtime Freddy growl as he approached you. The bear chuckled as he and Funtime Foxy started circling around you like the predators they were. You clung to ENNARD's lifeless animatronic form as fear flooded your mind. You knew something terrible was in store. "Don't be afraid. We're not going to harm you," Funtime Freddy sneered. "Not yet." Funtime Foxy suddenly grabbed your upper arms and dragged you away from ENNARD, and Funtime Freddy followed his friend. With ENNARD in his clutches, you desperately clicked and screamed for help as you were being dragged through the large dark space, Balora Gallery, and into an unknown place, but no one could hear you. "Let me go! Balora! Help!" you screamed. Funtime Freddy dropped ENNARD and took you from Funtime Foxy. "Screaming for help isn't going to work. Not this time," the bear growled. He then opened a rusty door and then threw you in a dark room, doing the same with ENNARD. Sparks skid across the cement ground as ENNARD's metal body collided with the floor. Funtime Foxy shut and locked the door with a mechanical chuckle and returned where Funtime Freddy was standing. Through the darkness of the room, you noticed a large glass window that was separated by a thin wall. which has made the window split into two. That was where Funtime Freddy and Funtime Foxy were standing, as they watched you with blank yet amused expressions. You felt Ennard move in your arms, making you jolt your attention to him. You engulfed the robotic clown in a tight, relieving hug as he came to. Ennard, you're okay? You wheezed. He gurgled as he hugged you back, thankful that you were okay as well. But his happy expression took a turn for the worse. He stared up ahead at Funtime Freddy and Funtime Foxy with a terrified look. The two Funtime animatronics began to laugh as Ennard frantically peered around the dark room, as if his pale blue eyes could see what you couldn't. And they could. You felt Ennard pull you close to him as he glared at Funtime Freddy with pure hatred. The robotic gear gave him an evil chuckle in response. Ha 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 ha! Don't give me that look, Ennard. You brought this upon yourself a long time ago. The bear slightly muffled his voice rang through the glass window and right into your ears. You were confused and frightened at the same time. Did you ever go over your options, Ennard? Or did your supposedly great plan get in the way of all that? Funtime Freddy said. Ennard growled as the bear continued. Do you ever regret that day? The day you destroyed your friends, the only ones who ever expected you? The angry bear then pressed a button. The room suddenly lit up with blinking red lights and an ear-piercing noise. A conveyor belt-like sound could be heard aside from the loud buzzing noise, which made you turn your attention toward the back of the room. What you saw made both you and Ennard go blank. A moving roller coaster came in through another door. On the moving roller stood Ballora. Her animatronic form sat up in a lifeless way as the roller stopped. I'd hate to do this to such a beautiful work of machinery. But I need the parts. Right, Ennard? Funtime Freddy screeched. He then slammed down a lever which made the red blinking light and alarm stop. There was silence for a second, and then a sudden horrible sight. A large machine of some sort came from between the two windows and tore into Ballora's torso. You choked on your own breath as the machine retracted and tore into Ballora again. But Ballora! You screamed. You tried to get out of Ennard's grasp to stop the machine, but the robotic clown held you to him. He knew how dangerous the machine was, and how would you be able to help anyways? You didn't even have a clue of what it was. Machine crashed into Ballora a third time and returned to the wall that was between the windows. You stared with heartbreak as Ballora's dismembered metal body, pieces of her, were scattered around the floor as she fell to the ground, lifeless and destroyed. No! You clung to Ennard as tears trailed down your shivering cheeks. Funtime Freddy chuckled with rotten victory. That was quite entertaining. Wouldn't you agree, Ennard? The bear teased evilly. Ennard ignored Funtime Freddy and held you closer to him as you cried. He looked over at Ballora and hung his head in shame. He never meant for this to happen. Oh, don't be sad, you two. Better days are ahead for us anyways. Funtime Freddy laughed, but his pride was soon fried as Funtime Foxy was thrown at him. The two Funtime animatronics collided into the ground with a crash. You and Ennard peered through the glass, to which you were shocked to find Baby fighting two Funtime animatronics. To Funtime Freddy and Funtime Foxy stood up and were also shocked by Baby's appearance. But Baby, what are you doing here? Funtime Freddy cried out in surprise. Why are you and Ennard locked in the sculpting room? Baby yelled. Funtime Freddy went silent and just busted out laughing. We're just playing hide and seek, and I found you. The bear then threw a punch at Baby as Funtime Freddy jumped at her from behind. The female robotic clown ducked just in time to see Funtime Freddy and Funtime Foxy once again collide in a painful pinch. Baby then jumped up and pushed both of them into the cement wall. I'm not playing the game. Leave right now or face the consequences, Baby said as she balled up her fist. Funtime Freddy growled while Funtime Foxy automatically got up and ran away. Hey, where are you going? The bear yelled. With no response from his friend, he then turned back to Baby, who was fuming with anger. If you want to stay in one piece, then you will do as I told you, Baby repeated with a stern tone. Funtime Freddy grumbled and got to his feet. With an angry growl, he walked into the darkness. With that taken care of, Baby then turned her attention towards you and Ennard. She came up to the glass and looked through it. Hold on, you two, I'll get you out, Baby assured as she walked to the door and unlocked it. She opened the door and walked into the room. Are you two? Baby froze as she looked down on the floor. Her eyes flooded with heartbreak and sadness when she saw Ballora. "Ballora," Baby said in a quiet tone. She knelt down and held the lifeless ballerina's hand as you and Ennard go up and walk to her. "We couldn't do anything, Baby," you said as you wiped your tear-stained cheeks. Baby looked up at you and sadly shifted her faceplate as she took in what happened. "Please, don't blame yourself," Baby said. If she could cry, she would have flooded the room with tears by now. It was horrible that you could cry and Baby and Ennard couldn't. So you tried your best to hold in your tears. "What are you going to do?" you asked Baby as she released the ballerina's hands. The female clown looked at you and then back at Ballerina. I don't know."